Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Lemig. I am a hypnotherapist, an author, and a spiritual educator. I help people using hypnosis and hypnotherapy to access their true self, their true inner wisdom, their tremendous creative power to help them generate positive, healthy changes in their life, both emotional changes, behavioral changes, and also to help them along their even their spiritual path, their spiritual growth and evolution. So a little bit about me. I began studying hypnosis and hypnotherapy in 2019. I had just recently returned from a long stay in India. I was living over there for about 3 years, during which time, much of that time, I was an ordained Buddhist monk. So I was very interested for many years in things like meditation and working with the mind and consciousness and exploring all the kind of the deep mysteries of being. What does it mean to be a human being? Who are we really? And I found that Buddhist path, that Buddhist philosophical view and all the practices and the techniques that had been generated over 1,000 years or more, a couple thousand years, to be just absolutely fascinating and really, really applicable to helping us to understand better who we are. So when I came back to the U.S. and I wound up giving what's called giving back my vows, so I stopped being a monk, and I was looking for the next step in my journey of this life and came across hypnosis and hypnotherapy. And I had the good fortune of training with someone who actually had a Buddhist background himself, and so taught hypnosis and hypnotherapy from this context of the fundamental sort of awareness or absolute mind that is the essence of who we are. And what I found is that modern hypnosis, the hypnosis and hypnotherapy techniques and practices that have been developed over the past couple hundred years, and all of these ancient meditation practices and explorations into what is consciousness, what is mind, who are we, who's the essence of our being, all of these things really merge together really well and really very seamlessly. And in fact, a lot of the hypnotic techniques and practices that I practice now are actually rooted in these really ancient practices and technologies and tools that have been around, accessible to humanity for millennia now. So I'm looking forward to this talk. I'm looking forward to sharing with you a little bit more about hypnosis, what it is, what it isn't, how it can be useful to you, and how you can not only work with professional hypnotists and hypnotherapists, but how also you can use these principles and these techniques and these tools to actually do self-hypnosis and to really help yourself to generate positive changes in your life and really maximize your human potential. So let's talk a little bit about what hypnosis is. What is hypnotherapy? A lot of people have some notions, some expectations, or some preconceived ideas about what hypnosis is. And in fact, even the word itself, hypnosis, has these connotations that are a little bit misleading sometimes. Hypnosis is from a Greek word whose root means to sleep. So right off the bat, we're having to explain ourselves a little bit. We're having to counter this idea. Hypnosis has nothing to do with sleep. It's not a sleep state, actually. So a lot of people imagine that when they go into hypnosis, they're going to be somehow zonked out, or they're not going to really know what's going on, or maybe worse yet, they're going to think that this person that's quote unquote hypnotizing them is putting them under their control. These sorts of things are misnomers about what hypnosis actually is. Hypnosis is actually a very active state. It's actually a very engaged state where you're just simply in a state of focused awareness, where you're able to just access deeper parts of your being, deeper aspects of your mind. You'll be able to have a deeper awareness of your body, and you're able to access memories, creative powers and potentials, and problem-solving abilities. So hypnosis is really, it's a learning state. It's a state where you can actually access, again, these powerful resources within yourself to learn something new. If you think about it, whenever you're learning something new, what's happening? You're in a focused state, right? You're in a focused state of awareness where you're really paying attention to something. At the same time, you're also allowing your critical mind, your critical faculty to kind of take a break. So you're letting go of the need for things to be just simply what you think they are, and you're actually opening yourself up to the possibility of something new. That's the only way that you can learn something new, is to accept the possibility that there's something new to learn. So anytime you're learning something new, whether it's a new skill or a new language or a musical instrument or just anything at all that you're learning how to do something in a new way, you're automatically focusing your attention on it, and you're also letting yourself be open to the new information that's coming in. So really that's what hypnosis is to me, and that's the context in which I help people. I help them get into this state. And we use various techniques, and we use all sorts of methods to be able to make that state more powerful and more useful and beneficial. But really, it's just about tuning you into your ability to be able to learn, to be able to take in new information, to be able to discern in a way that's open and spacious, to be able to get rid of all the stuff that you don't need anymore, to recognize what's obsolete, what's no longer working, and to embrace new habits, new patterns, new behaviors, new beliefs. So we're going to get more into that later on in this talk here today, but that's kind of the basic foundations of what hypnosis and hypnotherapy is. I'd like to talk a little bit here too about, because it's sort of interesting, it's interesting to know a little bit about the history of modern hypnosis. I mentioned earlier that hypnosis and hypnotherapy, a lot of the techniques and the practices are rooted in ancient techniques, ancient human knowledge, and technologies for accessing the potential of our human mind. But modern hypnosis, modern hypnotherapy goes back just a few hundred years. The founder of modern hypnosis we can kind of look at as being this guy. His name was Franz Mesmer, and he was an Austrian physician who had this theory about animal magnetism, where he believed that all people and animals and things were actually animated and surrounded by this invisible natural force, and that this force could be manipulated, and it could be directed. It could be directed in a way to heal various ailments, whether physical or emotional. Now, the idea was too is that he could somehow, using his own animal magnetism, his intention and his will, he could manipulate other people's magnetic field, if you will. And so there's a lot of, if you look at some of the pictures, some of the drawings and the depictions of these times where Franz Mesmer was doing demonstrations and things like that, he's sort of like, it's almost like this classic view of somebody like casting a magical spell on somebody, and there's usually like a woman sort of swooning. It's very, very dramatic and actually kind of ridiculous. But in any case, his idea is that he could, through the force of his will, through the force of his words, through the force of his own animal magnetism, influence other people. So he could cause them to go into trance. He could cause them to do and say things that he wanted and intended them to do. And he could also use that energy and direct that energy to, again, heal various ailments that people had. So a lot of his theories, of course, were disproven. It wasn't really real hypnosis. It was just sort of, again, the power of suggestion that he was tapping into here. And people just, to the degree that they were willing to believe that he had this super normal power to be able to do these things, they actually had that experience. So this is an interesting thing to think about, though, when you think about it, and that is that our expectations, what we believe, what we expect to happen, often can come true. To the degree that we are open to somebody else influencing us, we can allow that to happen. But really, the truth of the matter is that that person doesn't have any power over us. Actually, it's our belief that they do that allows the change to happen, whether it's a positive change or not so positive change. So regardless of what the belief is about that, the fact of the matter is it's still in your hands. It's still your own power. It's still your own energy that's causing the change. It's just the belief that you have that, oh, somebody else is doing this to me. Well, they're not actually. You're still doing it to yourself. And that's an important point that we're going to come back to more in this talk today. So another important figure in the history of hypnosis was a guy named James Braid. And he was someone who's credited with coining the term hypnosis. And in the 1840s, he observed that there's a focus, attention, and suggestion. It could induce this trance-like state. So he emphasized the psychological aspects rather than the mystical forces, and he was the one who kind of laid more of a scientific foundation for hypnosis. And another thing about James Braid is that he used hypnosis most notably as anesthesia in field surgeries. So he was over in India for a long period of time, and he was an army doctor, an army surgeon, and he actually used hypnosis, hypnotic suggestion, hypnotic trance to help people to deaden feelings and sensations in their body so he could perform surgery on the fly without any anesthesia whatsoever. And he has left behind case studies of about 1,000 case studies of successful operations, even amputations that were done using hypnosis, getting people into this trance state so that they didn't feel the pain as excruciating as it normally would have been, and even was able to suggest to them in hypnosis that they slow their heart rate, that the blood flow slow down so that there was a minimal loss of blood, some quite remarkable things. So he was very detailed. He had a lot of foresight in saying, you know what, I'm going to document all of this. So he was a true scientist in that sense. Some other people that kind of followed him, was Sigmund Freud, actually. Sigmund Freud in the beginning was interested in hypnosis, but he wound up actually abandoning hypnosis in favor of this free association technique, and of course is the founder of modern psychotherapy. And as a result of his sort of dominance in the field of psychotherapy, actually hypnosis kind of fell out of favor for quite a while. It wasn't until the kind of mid-20th century that someone named Milton Erickson came along, and he was an incredible psychiatrist and psychologist, and he developed these really innovative techniques that emphasize the importance of tailoring hypnotic suggestions to each individual. So his approach is actually often called the Ericksonian hypnotic approach, which is really about tuning into a person as an individual, really being very personal, and using a lot of metaphor, a lot of suggestive language to induce trance, number one, and then also to suggest to the person's subconscious mind that the changes that they want to make have already occurred, and that these changes are ongoing and are within the total control of the individual. So he was very skillful in being able to communicate with people. He was actually a person who has said that his definition of hypnosis, actually, of hypnotherapy, is that it is fundamentally communication. It's communication between one or two people or more. So when someone is really in communication with someone on this deeper level, they can kind of enter into a hypnotic trance together, actually, and start to generate these deeper subconscious changes for themselves. So pretty remarkable. If you're interested in modern hypnosis, definitely check out anything by or about Milton Erickson. And then later on, in the 1960s, late 50s and 60s, someone came along. His name is Dave Ellman, and he was a key figure in bringing hypnosis to the forefront again in the medical field, and actually trained hundreds and hundreds of physicians and dentists and other health professionals how to do hypnosis, applying it for all sorts of things from behavior change, emotional change, helping with different medical conditions, and all these other ways of really applying this really powerful technique to empowering people to create changes for themselves. So Dave Ellman, his techniques, his protocols for hypnosis are still used today. I actually still use a lot of his inductions. They're called hypnotic inductions, and they're highly effective. They're really, really very useful, I find. So that's a little brief history of hypnosis and hypnotherapy. Let's talk a little bit about how it works. So how does hypnosis work? So what is it here? What are we talking about? Well, again, we want to define our terms here. What does hypnosis actually mean? It's funny because when I'm interviewing a new client, and either it's our first session or maybe it's before our first session, and I'll often ask them, well, what are your expectations about hypnosis? What do you imagine hypnosis is going to be like? And a lot of people will say, oh, I don't have any expectations. I'm just totally open. I have no idea what it's going to be like, and I'm just willing to see what's going to happen. Well, I kind of just nod and smile at that, and then we go ahead and we dive into our first session. And after the hypnotic trance is over and I bring them out and we have a check-in, I'll ask them, well, how was that for you? How was that experience? And they'll just kind of smile and they'll say, you know what? That's not what I expected. Which of course is very telling. We all have expectations about everything. In fact, most of our lives is based upon past conditioning. Our past conditioning is what we've experienced before, and most of our lives is spent comparing what's happening in the present moment to what's happened in the past. So we're constantly generating expectations about what is going to happen. Now, this is a difficult kind of hurdle for us if we want to make real change, because if we're constantly looking to the past, to our conditioning, to our memories, to what's happened before, it's really hard to experience something fresh and new. So we want to make sure that when we're talking about hypnosis, that we're addressing all those expectations that we have, so that we can open up the definition of hypnosis, so that we can maximize its power and its benefit, so that it's not limited to what we think it is, but it can be something more than that. It can be something new. It can be something that allows you to access parts about yourself that maybe you didn't know were there. So hypnosis, again, going back to my definition earlier that I talked about, hypnosis is basically a state of inner focus where the critical faculty is bypassed temporarily so that new learning can take place. This is really basically the foundational definition of hypnosis. So it's quite open. It's not really about what you feel or experience physically or mentally or internally. It's really just a general way to describe what it is that we're going for here. So we want a state of inner focus. You want to be open to new ideas. So that's where the critical faculty kind of, you let that take a little bit of a break, let that take a little vacation so that you can be open to new learning, new possibilities. So how does it work? There's some basic steps in generating what you could call a hypnotic trance state. And, really it comes down to, it's just a few things. And actually you can do it for yourself. And it's really just a matter, again, of focusing inward. And one way to do that, one of the best ways to do that, is to just begin by closing your eyes. And now you can even follow along with me here if you like, just so you can maybe start to get an experience of it. So as long as you're in a safe place, as long as you're not driving, definitely if you're driving, turn this recording off for the next few moments. Come back to it when you're in a safe place. If you are, doing some sort of, work or task where you need to pay attention to that task, then again, come back to it when you have time to focus, when you're in a safe, comfortable spot. But you can just go ahead and, once you're comfortable, just take a nice deep breath, and just on the inhale, just breathe deeply into your nose. And then on the exhale, then you're going to let your eyes close down. And just simply begin to bring your attention to your eyes and just notice the sensations all around your eyes. And you might even start to notice your eyes just feeling more relaxed with each breath that you take. And you might notice that actually your eyes, since they are closed, that actually means that they are relaxed, because all the tiny little muscles in your eyes and throughout your eyelids, in order for them to be closed, have to be relaxed. They have to be loose. They have to be rested and very limp. So you can just simply notice your eyes feeling very relaxed and feeling very heavy, and just enjoying that feeling. And maybe you can even relax your eyes to the point where they just won't work. And you can actually just imagine that that's what's happening now. You can imagine that you can relax your eyes to the point where they just won't work, so that even if you were to try to open them, they just wouldn't open. Just imagine that happening now. Imagine what that would be like, as if it's happening now. And once you're satisfied that your eyes just won't work because they're just so relaxed, just go ahead and stop trying and let that feeling of relaxation move up over the top of your head, and let it go ahead and spill on down all the way down to the tips of your toes, and just imagine that happening now. And you might even notice that with each breath that you take, each exhalation, you might even notice that you're just able to relax a little bit more. Maybe with each exhalation, your shoulders drop a little bit, or you just feel something shift and move in your shoulder blades or your arms. Or maybe some muscles loosen up in your abdomen or your chest. Simply relaxing more and more with each breath. Having an inner experience. Turning inward to a deeper sense of who you are. That's right, very good. And now, if you like, you can know that you can recreate this state that you've actually created for yourself by just following a few simple instructions anytime you choose in the future. And you can enjoy this state anytime you want by just simply finding a comfortable, safe place and taking a deep breath, and on the exhale, let your eyes close down, and just allow yourself to go back into this wonderful state anytime that you choose. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to count from 1 to 3. And when I reach the number 3, you can open your eyes. You can come back to normal waking consciousness, and we'll resume our talk here. When you open your eyes, you'll feel refreshed and you'll feel relaxed, and you might even actually feel wonderful in every way, as number 1 starting to come back, number 2, that's right, easily coming back, as number 3, open your eyes wide awake and refreshed, feeling wonderful in every way. That's right, very good. Now that was just a little sample of what we call a hypnotic induction. And let's break down the anatomy of that, what was going on and what happened. And whatever your experience was, recognize that that was your experience. And again, hypnosis is a subjective experience. And whether you felt a deeper sense of relaxation, or whether you felt like your body was very heavy, or whether you really did feel like you really couldn't open your eyes even if you tried, whatever you experienced was valid and true. But really all we're doing here is that we're just, again, we're turning our focus inward, turning our attention. So all I did was I just made a suggestion that you close your eyes, and as long as you followed that suggestion, well, that's great. And you were able to go on to the next suggestion, which was to relax your eyes and imagine your eyes, feel your eyes being relaxed. Because again, your eyes are relaxed when they're closed. That's the nature of muscles. When they're contracted, when the muscles in our eyelids are contracted, they're open. They have to be contracted in order to be open. Well, when we close them, we're automatically loosening them. We're letting go. And so the muscles are relaxed when you're closed. So you're already having that experience. So as we're setting you up basically to just follow these suggestions deeper and deeper within until you're just able to, again, start to just be open to a new, richer inner experience. Now, while we're in that state of trance, while we're in that state of openness and inner focus and awareness, there's all sorts of amazing things that we can do. We can put you in touch, number one, with your own inner wisdom, your own innate creative power to generate solutions for problems in your life. Because your subconscious mind is actually really powerful. If you've ever had the experience of maybe you've had a problem in your life or there's something that you need to figure out and you say, you know what, I'm just going to sleep on that. And then the next day or maybe a few days later, all of a sudden, it's like literally a light bulb almost goes off in your head and you're just like, oh, now I see what needs to be done. Now I see the way through, the path through this. Well, what's been happening there is that your subconscious mind has been working on the solution. It's been actually synthesizing the information. It's been coming up with creative ways and in just the right way for you, has found a way for you to solve that old problem. So in hypnosis, we can just accelerate that process a little bit. So by getting you into that deeper state of inner focus and awareness and just an openness to new possibilities and new learnings, we can just instruct your subconscious mind to just pick up the pace a little bit and go ahead, find a solution now. So whether it's you're wanting to quit smoking or, change your relationship with food and just stop eating so much junk food, or whether it's you're wanting to eliminate procrastination from your life or, do whatever it is that you want to do, we can accelerate that process in hypnosis by communicating directly with your subconscious mind and all the creative powers that you have within yourself. So, again, there's so many applications, so many different ways that we can utilize hypnosis. I mentioned a few there. The ones that a lot of people are very familiar with are, quitting smoking and losing weight and things like that. But really, just about anything, sky is the limit in terms of the applications of hypnosis. And there's actually a lot of research to support the effectiveness of hypnosis. And if you just do a little Google search on Google Scholar, all sorts of studies come up in terms of detailed meta-analysis and studies that have been done on the effectiveness of hypnosis for all sorts of things like pain control, pain management. This is a big one where hypnosis has been used all the way back to the mid 1800s. That guy James Braid I was talking about. So pain management, helping with weight loss, helping with things like confidence and self-image. Hypnosis has been proven again and again to help with that basic self-esteem can be improved through hypnosis, can help tremendously with stress and anxiety, because stress and anxiety are essentially, they are subconscious responses. They are rooted in the autonomic nervous system, which is a part of our subconscious mind and being. And so when we are able to access that in hypnosis, we can learn how to relax our bodies. We can learn how to re-regulate our nervous systems. So there's been a lot of research done in terms of how hypnosis can help with stress and anxiety. There's been research in terms of helping people actually to recover from illness, especially around cancer and things like that. Pain management, the effectiveness of medications and treatments can actually improve by entering into hypnotic states and just simply imagining that the medication is working the way that it's supposed to, that your body is responding well to it, it's accepting the treatments, and the healing and the changes are taking place at a cellular level. So incredible things can happen like that. there was actually a study done where they looked at, they had two groups. They had athletes who had been injured, and they divided these injured athletes into two groups. One group went through a traditional battery of physical therapy and rehabilitation, and the other group did not. The other group did self-hypnosis and just spent a certain amount of time every day simply imagining in hypnosis that they were actually going through that process of physical therapy and rehabilitation. So what they found was, at the end of that study, is that the group that did the actual physical therapy and rehabilitation, they of course showed signs of improvement. But the really amazing thing is the people who didn't do a thing, that didn't lift a finger literally, and just imagined they were doing it, also showed comparable signs of improvement. So it's pretty amazing what the subconscious mind, what our minds are capable of. And we're just learning more and more. So this is why hypnosis and hypnotherapy are such incredibly exciting fields of study. And again, from my background, practicing in these sort of ancient, millennia-old traditions of working with the mind, it's almost as if our modern science is just catching up to what humanity has known for thousands of years, but it doesn't make it any less exciting. It's absolutely an exciting time where we're discovering our potential more and more. We're discovering what we're truly capable of, and it's quite amazing and quite powerful. So I hope you enjoyed this talk today on hypnosis and hypnotherapy. I know I had a great time sharing this information with you. Again, my name is Chris Lemig. I'm a hypnotherapist, an author, and a spiritual educator. My practice is called True Nature Hypnotherapy. I work out of Seattle, but I help people all over the world through Zoom sessions and even phone consultations and phone hypnosis sessions to help them to access those deeper states of being and access those deep resources within themselves to change. I also teach a variety of workshops. I also teach a program where I take men through a transformative process. It's called Reclaiming the Sacred, where I help them to overcome addiction to a very serious addiction. It's an addiction to pornography. So helping them to combat that and to transform themselves and to really reclaim their inner dignity and their integrity. And that has been an incredibly rewarding program that I've launched recently, and having a lot of success with that as well. So if you're interested in learning more about me, go ahead, please check out my website. It's truenaturehypnotherapy.com. There'll be links and more information in the show notes here. So again, I'm Chris Lemig with True Nature Hypnotherapy. Thank you so much for listening, and may you have a hypnotic day.